Elon Musk, when he was asked about BYD, his reply was very sarcastic. That, have you seen their car? But now, within 3 years, BYD is selling more than Tesla. Yes.
So, you know, as we initially thought, like all the AI will take away the jobs.
And is this EV coming? Is this impact of EV or something? But there's nothing happening here. No news. Welcome back, podcast burning viewers, especially driving humanity forward series, and especially regarding the EV, because as maybe you have known or aware now that driving humanity forward is not just about EV. There are a lot of things that we discuss in this series. But anyway, welcome back with me as a host, Eka, and then also accompanied by Pak Eko from Singapore and Pak Kaustubh from India, so far away. So
Thank you, Bob.
today, yeah, thank you also for coming and sparing your time to have a discussion with me. So today, we will discuss about uh, what me and Pak Hani have discussed in our series before. Hopefully, you have seen it also. But basically, in that episode, me and Pak Hani is discussing about technology shifting, yeah, from the ICE to the EV transition. And one of the things that we highlight is that there will be a shifting of working environment, yeah, from the ICE environment to the EV environment. So there will be maybe some things that will be not needed from the ICE to the EV. There will be something new in the EV industry that maybe requires some new person, some new employee with a new skill set or something. And the point that we want to put to the our viewers that actually this is not just a trans like a simple transition from ICE to EV, but there are a lot of things that must be done so people still can be employed in the new ICE environment. So today I would like to have Pak Eko and Pak Kostub comment maybe in more detail actually what is happening if we transition from ICE and EV, as, especially for the employee or employment. So please, Pak Eko and Pak Kostub.
Thanks, Paika. That's interesting insight and a perspective to bring in. A lot of changes which are coming up as we see it on a day-to-day basis, which are going on the EV space, electric vehicle space. So usually, as we have been talking on the electric vehicle, when we mean electric, people usually see the only the vehicle aspect of it, be it the two-wheeler or be it the passenger vehicle. But it's not just the electric vehicle, right? There are multiple ecosystems which get created around it. For instance, electric vehicle is always accompanied with the charging infrastructure. The electric vehicle is always like a connected solution. So the vehicle is talking to uh, various servers or data points, and the user is able to see and use the data points. So where the vehicle went, how fast it went, what was the route it took, route it took, what was the driving behavior, how rash he was, how slow he was. If the vehicle has a fall, then uh, which side the vehicle had a fall, whether it was on the left side, whether it was on the right side, or it could be kind of restricting the vehicle movement in a particular location. So now if we see these 3 points, there are, the vehicle itself, the software solution which helps the vehicle or the user or the organization to see how the vehicles are moving as a fleet or as asset, and then the charging, like at what locations. So something similar to the benzene pumps or the fuel pumps, and how quickly it is able to charge, or how quickly it is able to find the charging network. So the vehicles, the charging points, and every aspects of the ecosystem generating a lot of data points. So what I'm trying to emphasize is, yes, there is the mobility play, but that is the foundation. What is building up is the data play. What is building up is the hardware play. What is building up is the connected solutions play. And what also is building up is the, how this is all integrated, and why there are newer kind of technologies required, newer kind of skill sets required, and why uh, these would be the new skills which would be in demand over a period of time. Maybe Paiko, if you want to comment, we can build on that thought.
Yeah, Pak Kaustubh. So related to what Pak Eka and Pak Hani has discussed past week, there's a shift in um, technology, and that also will be a shift in the skill set that you mentioned. Um, the point is now, how does this being addressed, especially in each country that want to take up um, the adaptation of the EVs, and as we know, in like Indonesia, India they have target how many percent of adaptation by when, let's say 2030. Um, with that, right? Actually, what you mentioned, there's a certain skill set that will be obsolete, and there's also new skill set that need to be acquired. So Paika and Pahani discuss about the re-skilling, retraining. So that is the area that actually we need to look into. We need to train the right people for the new skill set and retrain the existing people who will have those obsolete knowledge. So I think that is the area that we need to focus on now. And what I mean by we is not us only in this um, CTSS. Yeah, I think it's everybody who has this idea of adopting EVs. Yeah, and of course all those like Pahani mentioned about the decision makers or any automobile industries, manufacturers. Yeah. So we need to work together to see which skill set actually needed and which skill set that is going to be obsolete. And we need to identify who are these people who will have an obsolete knowledge so that we can train them to the new knowledge. And if there's always a time when we can't train everybody to shift to a new knowledge. Yeah. So then what do we do with that? Yeah. Let's say from 100 people, maybe 30 people can be trained to a new skill set, but the other 70 maybe cannot. And we need to think about what will they do. Yeah. So I think that's Paika that we need to take a look at, as what Pak Kostop mentioned at the beginning, and what you have been discussing with Pak Hani last week.
Yeah. Sorry, Pak Kostop, I like to cut in first because this is a very great comment from Pak Eko. In retraining, we cannot train everybody. And in when I discuss with Pak Hani, one of the points is age is also determining because me, Pak Hani, and maybe Pak Eko also, we are a survivor of the company that closed, and at that point we are not so young. I also worry, where do I go? But luckily I survived. But I think in this EV transition, we must deeply consider about this. One is age. Second is, Paiko mentioned that from 100 maybe we can train 30 to then the 70 we must think how to do with them. Yeah. But actually, not only age but also background. Unfortunately, I don't know your opinion. Maybe you can say to your opinion after I my comment. But my comment is that when there is transition from EV to from ICE to EV, then mostly the people that can be trained is basically in engineering background. Basically, yeah, but not all. Let's just take an example that there are many small car shop, like in my area. If I go to the main road, I can count maybe 10 or 12 car shop for ICE, for motorbike. But if those EVs coming, including for two-wheelers, what they can do? If those, yeah, the official shop, maybe they can retrain because they are under a big brand and they maybe have retraining and so on and so on. But the how about the independent one with also the manpower is limited in education? What will they do? What will happen to them? Yeah. And also, I would like to mention in making the episode with Pahani, actually, I did some very small research regarding what is the policy, of course, government policy. And yeah, maybe this is because my limited knowledge, also my limited ability. But what I can find is that there is some point discussing about the retraining, but it's in very general terms only. Unfortunately, it doesn't discuss in detail like maybe the age or the education background and maybe other things, other parameters that must be included in this program of re-education. So I would like your thoughts about that.
So, agreed, Paika. So, on this, there are some very interesting things happening worldwide in the automotive space. Like Volkswagen coming up and saying, like, we are not there to make softwares. And then we have seen for the first time Volkswagen setting up shops in Germany. Then on the other side, like in Japan, we are seeing merger of Honda and Nissan and Mitsubishi to form an alliance, and where they are able to capitalize on their knowledge based supply chain and also venture into the EV and create the third largest element globally. So, see, the shift, the transition is not just seen by the smallest, as you were mentioning, the roadside service center, but this is seen by the global giants. So we all are, kind of a party to it. In regards to the age part, the adoption as it happened, say, with the computers to the laptops, something similar might happen. So the early adopters will always be like at Paika suggested, 30 people out of 100 who would be, let's say, like willing to learn, or for that matter, let's say, like the ingenuity and the interest, like you have taken in the sound space and then trying to figure out the uh, sound aspects. So that would help to propel and move it to newer things of it. Vis-a-vis, what we can say. So age factor, let's say like how the handphone or the laptop adoption has penetrated, something similar might happen in this space as well. And coming to the service aspect, so service has to be there. It is never going away. So be it any mobility solution, so be it the IC, be it the EV, or be it any other alternate fuel, the service will always stay. There will always be a certain amount of service which will come in. the method of service changes. Like, for instance, uh, if we compare with the white goods like the refrigerators or the washing machines, initially we would repair, like the motor is repaired or the boards are repaired or the buttons are repaired. Later on, there is more of a replacement. Same as with handphones, same as with laptops, same as with computers. Eventually, the repair to replace aspect changes, and within the repair, there's an element of refurbishment where they're still trying to use, and then they try to guarantee it on the uh, performance side, giving them a short-term guarantee like 6 months or 12 months, depending on how the damage is and where the damage is, and try to use it. So as we are seeing this, there are newer models which will emerge. Distribution and the touch point will always be a key aspect, which is helping reaching out the customers, and then how they use it will create newer business model. So that's what, like, the transition happens. There's a shift, and there are newer models which are available. So, you know, as we initially thought, like all the AI will take away the jobs, but AI is actually helping to automate the monotonous job while helping the individual, the organizations to better and improve the productivity. So there is a disruption which would happen, but eventually it will move to a level where you have all the players coming in, and it's actually benefiting the entire society at large. So it will again come down to the mindset part, like how ready are we to embrace the newer technologies, and how agile and resilient we are to ensure that the adoption happen. Happy to understand your comments, Paika.
Yeah. Let me give one comment first here, but actually, so actually, uh, your your insight of that mindset, yeah, transition mindset is a very very deep and profound thing that must we must change, uh, and it's a foundation of the changes that actually maybe I would like to see happening. And actually, in my opinion, yeah, the closing of the Volkswagen factory in Germany and the merger of Nissan and Honda should be a big news here in Indonesia. Should be a wake up call. Oh, something drastic is happening in the automotive industry. And is this EV coming? Is this impact of EV or something? But there's nothing happening here. No news at all discussing about this. So I'm rather pessimistic about uh, shifting of the mindset. Maybe Pak Eko can give some comment, especially Pak Eko is very familiar with the German industry.
Yeah, Pak. So if we see the latest news, especially related to the European OEM, yeah. So there was a very I can say aggressive target at the beginning, whereby initially Europe want to have, or mainly Germany, want to have 100% non-combustion engine by 2030. Then after that, it changed again and changed again. The other thing is that, as what Pak Kaustubh mentioned about the mindset, maybe the mindset of the people in the work council. There's a work council in Germany, especially that taking care of the workers there. Something similar like in Indonesia, this um, what we call that,
Like a
Serikat
union.
Pekerja union. So it's a union that taking care of the workers in Germany, especially, and they have a very powerful voice within the parliaments and a lot of things in the industries there. So that is the area that might be overlooked. I'm not sure whether I'm right here that they overlook that area, that they needs to change that first before making any ambitious target previously, and they didn't expect that the Chinese can be that fast. That within 3 years, even Elon Musk, when he was asked about BYD, his reply was very sarcastic. That, have you seen their car? Yeah. Yeah, but now within 3 years, BYD is selling more than Tesla. Yeah, so it's really a fast changing environment here that we are seeing now. So what Kaustubh mentioned, the change will come. Yeah, the change will come. That depends on the consumer, how consumer behavior, how consumer take up these changes. What the industry need to do again is like how to adapt to this shift is correct, and we also knows that for countries like Indonesia, India, this change will not be 100% changed. There will still be ice on the road, like Indonesia, especially. Probably there will be. I'm guessing probably still 10, 20 years there will be ice everywhere. Yeah. The in, infrastructure of charging is very important to enable the adaptation of EV in every states or every province. Yeah. So the change of the job itself is important. Whether everybody can change, that is also important. We know that not everybody can change, and what to do with those that cannot change. Yeah. Of course, like what Pak Kosto mentioned is also very interesting, like handphone, laptop, handphones. We grew up with no handphone until handphone comes out with physical buttons. How we type with now with the touchscreen handphone is totally different, but we adapt. Yeah, that is the user point of view. We adapt. The technology also adapting. Engineers now also different with engineers in the 90s or 20s to what we do now different. um, there are more software coming in now. Hardware still there. uh, and then whether everyone need to learn software, I don't think so, but there's a need for it, the increasing needs for it. On the other hand, the hardware part is still needed. And then even if it is EV, I still think that the basic works of, like what Pak Hani mentioned about the sheet metal working, body part is still there. Of course, we don't have exhaust, but there's other things that still needs basic mechanical engineering works. Yeah. So there's an opportunity to retrain, change what they normally do. For example, those company who normally do exhaust system, for example, it can shift to other product which still doing metal forming, metal stamping, and fabrication, but what it means for an electric vehicle. And of course, for Indonesia, India, or any countries in Southeast Asia, we will still see ice available in the near future. Yeah. So that's my take.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So uh, first, I would like to again return back to Kaustubh mentioned that there are three areas. First is the charging, and second is the vehicle itself and connectivity. And whatever changes that will come and that we must embrace is basically starting from our own mindset that we must accept and try to move on to the next, embrace to the next technology coming. Easier said than done, of course. Yeah.
So
And what, yeah,
just to give
what,
you anecdote, Pa, just to give
okay.
you anecdote.
Yeah.
So if you talk to any people who have been using ADAS in their vehicles, they say their driving is improved after putting on the ADAS because the vehicle controls the lane cutting or how they overtake, the speed, the distance between two vehicles, and all. So actually, that kind of solutions is helping to be more safe on the road and actually also improving the driving skills. Maybe Eko might second that. So if you have heard anybody who is having ADAS on their vehicles, whether it is level one, level two kind of thing, but it is actually helping improve their driving skills. So initially it is thought like, I don't need any guidance. Why should I be guided by a vehicle? The vehicle is lame, so it can't make its own decision, but it can follow, and it can follow better than humans, right? So certain things which are, let's say, like needs to be followed, which are like the rule or the regulation, that could be automated. The humans are free to do the creative work, more thoughtful work, and more innovative work, which currently the AI may not be able to do it.
Thank you, Ba. That's a very
Mm.
good information. Maybe Pa Eko would like to have a comment first, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, what Pa Kaustubh mentioned about the usage of ADAS, I've been driving a car with um, lane departure control. So as you put it in a way that it helps our driving skills. So I might put it slightly different. It doesn't help our driving skill, but it helps us to be safer. So it helps us to be safer. We may have overlooked some of the area when we drive, but with this technology, it actually helps us. You are very right when you're saying that this technology is helping us. It's not taking away our roles, but it helps us.
Good point, I think, Pa Eko. But again, to my point, somehow I'm still pessimistic about the mindset change because uh, 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 human is always comfortable with their own environment. They are very reluctant to move to another uh, zone that they think is not comfortable, or they might take time to make a new comfort zone. So what I would like to say is what happened in Europe. I think, returning back to Europe, I think that Europe, like Paiko mentioned, they changed many times, but now with the closing of the Volkswagen factory, I think Europe is almost capitulating or surrendering to China in EV area. And now there are only two giants, China and USA. And I'm not so optimistic to look or to be guided by the USA. There will be a big battle between USA and China. And somehow I think it is better for us to look to China rather than USA. So what am I saying? The the change will be more fast, will be more fierce, will be more how to say, cutthroat if we do not change our mindset now. This is my point. And I think we can only look to China, not to the European or to USA anymore. It doesn't mean a thing if we
Yeah.
go to look at them for a model.
From a development model standpoint, you're right, but Eka. So how maybe the Chinese have created and curated the EV technology, that's a real case in hand and a true benchmark. But I recall in one of the previous podcasts, we had seen uh, or we had discussed in about how the ecosystems have been built. So, say for instance, how the GE creating the power turbines or the gas engines, and then you have the entire right from the generation to the dispersion and the consumption, how that is complete ecosystem being guarded by the conglomerates of a particular origin or a flag. Same was with the European side. And there's where what Chinese understood better and then they leapfrogged in adopting the EVs uh, technology creation. So even today, if we see, uh, so when we mean EV, so it's only a vehicle, right? Within the vehicle, if we see the major composition will come from the battery. Within battery, it will come from cells and the battery management system. On the battery management system will come on the various electronic parts, the hardware and all, and the software part. In the cells, it will be all the chemistries which will go, the cathode, the anode, and on the chemistry side, it will come to the mining, where you mine your cobalt, where you mine your manganese, where you mine your nickel, where you get your lithium, so on and so forth, right? And how do you have those kind of precursors created? How you have created the salts, the silicones, so on and so forth. How do you define the right chemistry? How do you pack more charge in a smaller space? And what are the various applications you can build around? So that's what Chinese mastered it, and now they are the top kind of a market share in that kind of a technology space. And believe me, neither Europe nor America is even close by to compete on the technology levels. It would be, kind of a miracle if they pull off any kind of innovation. But even if they do, they don't control the supply chain. It's largely with the Chinese. So for times to come, it will be China, which will have the pole position, at least for the EV side of things. And for countries, say for Indonesia, like India and Indonesia, who are in the process of adoption, just by looking at the West and copying the West models will not fit because the user patterns and the requirements are way different than the Chinese, than the West, than the Europe, than the Americas. We need to curate our own homegrown solutions, which actually creates a lot more of opportunities to create products which are made by the local, for the local, and for the usage of the local, right? So again, Payaka, it is coming back to the same point. Like, do we see it as a challenge and we by get threatened by it, or do we see it as an opportunity and embrace it and go full fledged in achieving it? Last but not the least, I'll just make a leaving comment. So we had dinosaurs in the past which failed to adapt, and today they have vanished. We just hear them in the history or see it in the museums. While we have cockroaches who were present when dinosaurs were there, and today also we have cockroaches. So, point what cockroach was able to do was it was able to adapt, and that actually fits into the Darwin's theory as well. So, survival of the fittest and survival of the person who can adapt is still holding good and true. So, whosoever will be adapting and the agility shown in the adaptation will be faster to prosper or grow. So that's my take. Pa.
Thank you, Pa. Well said. Yeah, change. Make a change of the mindset, and then homegrown solution. I think is the only way to go. Pa Eko, any comment?
I'm a fan of a homegrown solution. Right? So if we all remember, I think a few years ago, actually, there are several individuals back in Indonesia who started um, an electric vehicle, not trend yet, but they started a very small one unit prototype and so on. But everyone was just skeptical. Maybe one or two people trying to promote that, even a government official trying to promote that, but the support system within the whole ecosystem is not there. And then now the world has seen the changes. The Chinese shown the world that it can be done, and it can be done in fast, cheap, and safe. Still, safe is still there. And if we see the Chinese product now, it's no longer the Chinese product in the 90s or early 2000s, yeah, where it's just a copy of another Japanese or American products or European product. But their product now are very good, very competitive in a way of presenting the product itself. Um, um, if we talk about this from uh, from us for us, so a local initiative, I think Pak Kaustubh has more areas to say here because he's doing it. I'm a bit sad if we are talking about that of what has been happening in Indonesia. So I hope we could have done better. So if now we want to catch up again, probably the best way is to collaborate with established um, organization or manufacturers that already starting it. Yeah, and we have people who are really capable of doing it. Yeah, I think that's by what I'm a fan of it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Baiko. Thank you very much, Baiko. So, if I may say for the final word, is that we must accept this as an opportunity. We must change our mindset, and we look or we innovate for a homegrown solution for the ICE to EV transition. That is how we survive, and we can see or look China as a model. Is it uh, accurate, my conclusion?
Yes, Pak, you are right. So it's a good benchmark model, but it need not be copied in totality. You can always add local flair. Just what the
Yes.
McDonald did or the KFC did when they entered Indonesia, or for that matter, Starbucks did when they entered Indonesia, right? So you can't have a global one size fits all kind of a solution going everywhere.
Yes.
You can always
Yes.
add the customization layer and the local taste and the local flair to make it more adaptable and uh, palatable. Right?
Yeah.
So,
Hopefully, in the next episode, you can share your experience about that
sure,
one.
Yeah,
Because,
Pak
sure,
like,
Pak.
Kaustubh. Yeah.
Like Paiko said, you are doing the things here. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
please share with us what
sure,
is
Pak.
your
That would be a pleasure.
understanding. Yeah, of
That would be
the
a pleasure.
homegrown and not one size fit all global model. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to
So,
comment on that Echo's comment, right? So bigger organizations, so but they are realizing this, that they are not able to do everything on their own, and they would need partnerships, and they are reaching out to
mm,
startups, to people who are trying to bring that kind of a change, and then
Mm.
backing them. So it's just the beginning. So the show, there's a long show which is going to happen, right? It's just the beginning, and collaboration is the way forward.
so we are here, but
We are here, right? So we are just arrived at the party, but the party is yet to begin.
okay. Okay. Paiko, any uh, things you want to say as a ending or last word from you?
No, but I think you summarize it very well, and yeah, I'm uh, expecting what Pak Kosto will share with us. I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay. Okay, then viewers. So please remember, even though personally I I'm painting a bleak picture of the EV transition, but actually it is something to be optimistic, something to be looked as an opportunity, and we must change our own mindset quickly and find a homegrown solution like Pak Eko and Pak Kaustubh said. So we will see you in the next episode. Thank you very much, viewers. Thank you, Pak
You.
Kaustubh. Thank you, Pak Eko.
Thank you,
Thank
Baika.
you.